Good morning, Gig Jig community. Welcome back for day 2 of Launch Your Podcast. And here again today, we have Tiffany and David joining us, and they're
Hello,
going
hello.
to be taking you guys through the day 2 program. And I just want to say that yesterday was amazing. I think for someone that's done podcasting before and learned to do it messy, and
Mhm.
then took some lessons along the way. I found yesterday extremely interesting and not like there was a lot of good information shared there that you guys, if you're just starting or you're thinking about doing a podcast, you're going to avoid making some mistakes that a lot of us made doing it messy. So, what a great opportunity to learn this. So, Tiffany and David, welcome, and
Thank
I
you.
will turn the tables over to you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
You're
Thank you. Thank
welcome.
you. It's so nice to thank you for having us here. It's so wonderful. We're so happy to be here. We love your audience. We love this community, and it's an absolute pleasure. So thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, I'm going to remove myself, but I'm here as your faithful servant.
Thank you.
Okay,
or first class producer.
there you
Let's
go. Oh,
Right. I
yes, I
like
like
that
that
much
much
definitely
better.
better.
first
Yeah.
First
class
class
producer.
producer. There we go. All right.
All right, everyone. Hello, hello. This is Tiffany Kane. I am the Heck Yes coach. I coach people on how to podcast and do things in amazing things in their businesses and in their lives. I am the host of Love and Life After Divorce podcast and the co-host of Mastering the Podcaster Mindset. And I co-host with the amazing David
Mr.
Seiss.
David.
Go ahead
Hello,
and
hello.
introduce yourself, David.
Again, I am David Seiss. I am a dialogue editor and sound engineer. Been doing it a long time, and excited to get this day rolling, and hopefully get you guys some new information and or stuff that'll just kind of help you along your journey.
It's the sexy sound guy. Hi, Wendy. We're glad to have you here. We have
Yeah,
a
funny.
lot of people here this morning. Good
That's
morning
great.
to everybody that made it. We see a lot of friendly faces from yesterday. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at the stream on my phone, seeing all the comments. Good morning to everybody. This is fantastic. All right. We are going to go ahead and get started with the slides for today. And we'll go ahead, Chris, put those slides up. Yay. Thank you so much, Chris. All right. So today is day 2. Oh my gosh. Give me one sec because I need to get forward to day 2. Oh my gosh. Just when you think you are set up. Now we're ready. We're on day 2.
There we go.
Okay. So, as always, we have the 3 pillars of a successful podcast. Everything that we do in our training, every bit of work that we do with our clients, we always have this strong foundation of these 3 pillars. So, mindset, content, and production. And that is the framework for what we're going to share with you today. So we always start with mindset. Today, with our mindset, we're going to look at dun 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 imposter syndrome.
Oh.
Okay, put something in the comments. I don't know, some sort of emoji. If you've ever felt imposter syndrome. We are going to talk about your content and knowing your content. And we're going to get into recording and editing, which is so exciting. David's going to do a demo for us today with recording. So pretty exciting for today. We have a very full day. As always, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. If we can address them at the moment, we will address them at the moment. If not, we will address them at the Q&A at the end, as long as Facebook doesn't put us in comment jail. If Facebook does put us in comment jail, we will definitely answer your questions in the thread like we did yesterday. You guys had amazing questions yesterday. All right. So with our mindset, let's look at imposter syndrome. So you see these pictures with the lock around the brain and the storm happening at the brain. Imposter syndrome really is something that stops us from doing our best. Imposter syndrome is, and I see a lot of you, you're putting your emojis up that yes,
It's a
I
common
feel
thing.
imposter syndrome. It's so common. Imposter syndrome is when we say, who am I to do this? If I'm doing this, that I'm not really qualified. I'm just pretending. I don't have what it takes. And imposter syndrome is really our ego rearing its ugly head and making ourselves super important. And where we think that people are here for us when really people are here for themselves. Think about yourselves today. Were you here today to like, oh, celebrity sighting with Tiffany and David? I just want to be there. I mean, no, right? You're here because you have a goal, you have a purpose. You either want to launch a podcast or you have a podcast that you want to improve and make better. And so you are here for yourselves today. And David and I have to remember that. And we have to take our ego out of it. And we have to say, okay, this is about the people that are going to be here. How do we do the best for them? Not about us and, oh, do we really have what it takes? Do we really have the experience and the know-how? Because you guys, there's always somebody out there that has more experience, but there's nobody out there that has your experience.
Mhm.
David, I know you have a lot to say on this topic. Is there anything else you'd like to add to imposter syndrome?
W- y- that's, I don't know. You caught me off
He
guard.
loves it when I put him on the
Yeah, she
spot.
always puts
He
me on the spot.
loves it.
I
So I
love
do
it. I
it
love it. I love
because
it.
it's just great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like you said, you just got to get out of your own way. If you stop and stay focused on um, all of the stuff that you haven't done, then
Mhm.
you're never going to get to that point where you're just going to do the thing.
I
Because
like that.
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot that everybody has experiences, and your knowledge on your experiences is different than everybody else's. So don't be afraid to share them.
David and I could sit here and think of all the reasons to not do this boot camp with you guys today. Oh, we need to learn more about SEO, or we need to learn more about marketing your podcast, or we need to learn more. There's podcasting, there's so much to learn about, and we're constantly learning.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we learn, the more we realize we need to learn, right? That's just the nature of life, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
was it Einstein that said the more you learn, the more you realize, the less you know, or something along those lines?
Something along those lines.
It's true. And so if you it's super easy to get stuck in imposter syndrome, especially as you get more expertise in something, because you realize that there's always more to learn. So yes, comparisonitis is
Yeah.
real. Yes,
I
Kim,
thought that was
it
good.
is a disease for sure. And so you really need to remind yourself, as Marianne says, that it's a daily practice to remind yourself that your experience and your knowledge is valid. You have a lot to share. And yeah, there's always somebody out there that has more information than you, more knowledge than you. But that doesn't mean that people want to learn from them necessarily. A lot of people want to learn from you. All right, so let's continue on with, now that you have this, okay, I can do this, my imposter syndrome, I can let it go. This isn't about me. Let's move into our content. So, the content is very closely related to the imposter syndrome, which is why we put them together today. Because you have to, when you're creating your content, you really have to think about your purpose. What is my purpose? We talked yesterday about the purpose and the why. So this should say purpose and why, really. And you need to have a central idea with your content. So if you're constantly keeping in mind that what you are creating is for your audience, and I'm creating this to educate them, to entertain, to inform, to help my audience grow, that's the why. And then if you keep in mind your purpose, I want to be a better speaker. I want to grow my business. I want to create a community that will then maybe go on to purchase my programs or my products. You keep those things in mind. It keeps you grounded, right? And then imposter syndrome has a harder time taking over when you are grounded in your purpose and your why. So that's why they go so closely together. We talked about that a lot yesterday. Today, we're going to dig more into this central idea, looking at your topic and niching down. Always keeping in mind, what is my purpose? So your content has these core pieces, right? So for us, with our Mastering the Podcaster mindset, our topic is podcasting. Our niche is helping new podcasters with the mindset challenges that happen around podcasting, the mindset challenges that often hold us back, because we want to educate podcasters and we want to help them to grow. So, do you see how those go together? You have your topic, you have your niche, and you have your purpose. This also will help you create your intro and your trailer if you have a really strong central idea and purpose. That was a lot of information. So let's take each of these pieces and put them together. So what I would like for you to do in the chat is to kind of create a formula. Start with your topic. 1 or 2 words. What is your topic? Put a plus sign. What is your niche? Put a plus sign. What is your why, which was the educate, entertain, inform, grow? And then what is your purpose? Do you want to create a community? Do you want to sell your products, right? So it's those 4 things together. So you can use a plus sign or a comma, but go ahead and put in the comments what you think your topic is, your niche, your purpose, your why, and your purpose. And we'll go ahead and give you a second. And I'm going to, I can't put things in the, I can put things in the chat on my phone. So I'm going to put an example. So my central idea for our topic is podcasting. And then I'm going to put my plus sign. And our niche is new podcasters. Our why is to educate and support. And our purpose is to build a community. We're very, very strong into community. So my comment is going to pop up it'll say Facebook user. That's me, podcasting, new podcasters, educate and support, build a community. So for you guys, what do you think your central idea, topic niche, your purpose, your why, and your purpose, what do you think those are? Go ahead and put them in the chat. And we'll give you a second to do that.
I think that's probably the hardest question to answer.
It is.
Myself.
Ooh, sharing women's stories of resilience, women in difficult life situations is your niche. You want to, their why is to inform and encourage, and you want to build a community of support. I love that.
Nice.
I think that is Judith. Thank you, Judith. Thank you for sharing that. This is a hard ask so early in the morning. So if you're not sure of what your central idea is and your why and your purpose, in the workbook, you will have that. And I'm going to link the workbook in the private chat, Chris, so that you can go ahead and put it in the stream. If you were on the email list, you got this workbook last night. But here's the workbook for today. And I'm putting it, and then Chris will be able to put it in the stream. I'm a little worried if I put it in the Facebook comments, Facebook will put me in jail. All right, Wendy, encouragement, joy, and inspiration Gen X and boomers are her audience. That's her niche. When they feel defeated or fell defeated. And she wants to build a community. I love how many community builders we have here.
Yeah.
You guys, that's something David and I are really passionate about, is building community. Penny, yes, weight loss. Women 35 years old and up who struggle with health issues. Oh, that's a big one. It's so hard to lose weight when you have health issues. You want to educate and support to help women live more vibrant lives and take charge of their self-care. This is great, you guys. You guys see how when you do this work, you have this is great.
It's like,
you have your intro already.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I talked over you, David.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. I was going to say the same thing. You've already, if you take those basic elements and just kind of add a few filler words, you've got your intro, or you can expand on it a little bit, and there's your trailer. So it helps to make those things a little bit easier as far as getting your content.
In these 3 days, we're not going to be diving deep into the intro and the trailer, but we do that in our course. We spend a whole day on your intro and your trailer. Let's see. Okay. Central Idea is a book club. The niche is self-help topic exploration. The purpose is finding ways to help navigate life's complications and build a community of like-minded people. Yes, I love that. Let's see. Who is that? That's Marianne. Love it. Sherry, look at you guys. I can't believe how many of you are putting stuff up here. This is fantastic. This is hard work. Your true story, senior citizens, terminally ill with children. Share untold stories that would otherwise not be told. I think I'm going to cry. Community and podcasts and course gifts. This did bring tears to my eyes, Sherry. Oh, thank you. That's a beautiful one. Jennifer, Penny just lost over 100 pounds. Woo!
What?
Nice, Penny.
Good job.
That's amazing. I need to lose like 25 and it's a struggle. Okay. Parents, self-care plus children with medical needs plus educate plus provide a supportive community. Jennifer Hillary, I love it. Okay. Thank you guys. This is wonderful. I love it. We are going to move on, but if you come up with your ideas and you want to put them in, go ahead and, Marianne lost the weight, not Penny. Well, congratulations, Marianne. If you come up with ideas as we're talking, please put them in here. Save them. They get saved into the thread so that you can go back and reference it and then put it in your workbook. And you've got your trailer and your... Our little guy is sitting next to David, our 11-year-old. I think he's making some noise. So if you hear noises in the background, it's not that David has strange things going on with his body. It's my 11-year-old. Working with the kids home from break is fun. Okay. All right. So we're going to go in on this central idea a little bit more. Oops. This is something that we dig into in our course a little bit more, but everything you do with your podcast should relate to your topic and your niche. So you want to make sure every guest you bring in, every post you make on your social media, every monologue episode you do, everything that you do related to your podcast has something to do with this topic and speaks to this niche. Okay. So with my Love and Life After Divorce podcast, I have kind of a wide topic, right? It's love and life. My niche is after divorce. So I'm able to talk about a lot of things as long as I bring it in to relating to how people find joy after divorce. So I can bring a wide variety of guests on as long as they have something my audience can get out of it to help them have more joy as they build their life after divorce. With our Mastering the Podcaster mindset, we bring all kinds of podcasters on that talk about a whole bunch of different topics. But every time we bring them on, we ask them about their mindset barriers, their challenges and struggles. How did they overcome them? We talk about how they keep going on. Most of our podcasters we bring on have been podcasting more than a year. They have more than 100 episodes. So we're talking to expert podcasters. And we're always asking, how did you get where you are? What is it that helped you get to that point? Because we want our audience to know those people that, are maybe a year ahead of them or 100 episodes ahead of them. How'd you get there? What did you do? And we ask very practical questions. And they always give us some sort of inspirational idea of some sort that helps us a lot. It brings us a lot of joy having those experts on. Like we said, we also bring in our coaching clients and we bring in our podcasting clients that are new in the podcasting so they can talk about where they're at in the journey right now. And those are our most popular episodes. People love hanging out with the people that are there in the beginning. So for you, as you're thinking about your podcast, whether it's weight loss, whether it's telling the stories of our elderly parents, whether it's a book club, whether it's self-care of parents, like whatever your topic is, everything you do around your podcast relates to that. If you're doing reels or Instagram stories or TikToks, it's going to relate back to your topic in some way. Are there any questions about the central idea? This is something we go into a lot more detail in our course. We don't have as much time in these 3 days. Our course is 6 weeks long, so we have more time to dig in deeper. But if you have any questions about your central idea, we'd love to help you. And if you need help clarifying, we'd love to help you with that as well. And you guys, the Gig Jig group is amazing. So if you need help clarifying your central idea, your niche, anything like that, I am sure the members of this community would be really happy to help you as well if you post that up and say, I need help. David and I are happy, and the members of the community are happy to help.
Mhm.
All right. We're going to move on to the fun part today. I want to make sure I give David lots of time today. He is going to take it over and work on production. Now, we are going to talk about mindset really quick before we move into the production. This is the part for a lot of people that gets a little bit scary. Oh, the technology. Oh, the recording. Oh, what do I do? How do I do this? So, as much as you can right now, take off what we call the affective filter. The affective filter is that filter that says, I'm scared, I'm nervous, this is going to be hard. And when we have that affective filter on, it's very, very hard for us to learn. So put your curious hat on. All right. As long as you can stay curious, then your brain takes in information. When you're in fear, I don't think I can do this, your brain shuts out information. So everybody take a deep breath. Put yourself in a curiosity mindset and say to yourself, I am curious about what David is going to teach us about recording. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you love that advice, Judith. Curiosity, this is the number one trick. Whenever you're in a place of fear of learning something new, or a place of fear of you're doing something new and it feels very scary to you, or you're having really big feelings. Maybe you're in a relationship and things aren't going so well and you're getting these big feelings. Having curiosity about those feelings or that situation or that new learning opens you up to asking questions and opens your brain up to learning new things from that. So anytime you can be curious, just that word and just that mindset opens your brain up in a different way. So right now, set an intention that you are curious. So if you're setting that intention, go ahead and in the chat, write, I am curious. And as soon as you do that, then we're going to have David share his screen and get going. Well, I'll share a couple more. A couple more slides. Sorry about that. Chris, will just be a couple slides on mine. Sorry. messed my producer up, my beautiful producer. All right, David, do you want to go ahead and talk about the recording platform? We can't hear you, David. Something happened. Can't hear you at all. Not at all. Technical difficulties. Okay, while David is fixing his sound, I will go ahead and talk about these recording platforms. So, there are a couple of recording platforms you can record on. Well, David is going to be giving you an Audacity um, demonstration today and how you can record directly into your computer or your phone into Audacity. GarageBand is very similar to Audacity. So all Apple products come with GarageBand. So they're very similar. So learning Audacity,
Hello.
very similar things. Yay, we can hear you.
Yay. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Somehow my
Go ahead
mic
and take
got
over.
switched. Okay. So I wasn't listening to what you had said. Sorry about that.
I didn't talk about Zoom yet. I talked about that you're going to be giving a demo on Audacity.
Audacity, yeah. And actually, so we have here in the slide, you'll see that it says GarageBand for Apple. The reason that we say GarageBand for Apple is because if you're an Apple user, typically you have an Apple phone or an iPad and a laptop or whatever your setup is. The good thing about GarageBand is you can use it on all of those devices, and they all integrate really well with one another. So you can record audio on your iPhone and just transfer it to your computer and do your editing on your computer. Good thing about that is if you feel inspired to speak a bit about whatever your podcast topic is and you happen to be having lunch, you can grab your phone and record and still be able to import that into your computer to do the editing portion of it, or in your phone, whichever you want to do. Audacity can be used on Apples as well. And I actually prefer Audacity over GarageBand because it's a really, really simple platform to use. GarageBand likes adding things like echo and making you sound really fantastic and adding all of these processes to your voice, which don't necessarily work for podcasting because it caters more towards music production. But once you get those tweaks set up in GarageBand, then you can use it no problem as far as just recording straight dialogue. But it does take a little bit of tweaking for that to really function easily. So I personally prefer Audacity. If you're going to use video, Zoom is fantastic. The only problem with Zoom is a lot of people, you tend to record your audio in Zoom also. And so you're going to lose quality because it's having to take your audio and upload it to the internet and then back to your computer for you to do your editing and stuff like that. So Zoom doesn't record in as good of quality as what you'll get from recording straight into Audacity or GarageBand as far as the audio goes. But it is an option, and for those of you that need to use it, it's a really great and simple tool. We like it. We use it for our classes all the time and don't have any issues with it. For the phone, yes, Kim just asked if in the phone you'd record using voice memos. And yeah, super simple. We have one of our students from our last class. That's how she likes recording. She has a really nice laptop, but it's a PC, and she likes recording on her phone. And with something like the Samson, like this one right here, it's a USB microphone. And all you have to do is get a little adapter, a little dongle that plugs. So the microphone... There we go. So this is the microphone cord, the regular USB cord. So that just plugs into the adapter, and then now it's set up to plug into the phone. So very, very simple to do. And you can record straight into your voice memos and then just transfer them to whichever editing software you're going to use. So it's really very simple. Zencaster, I really don't know much about. I'll have to look into that. I can look into it and get back to you on that.
Yeah. So Chris, there are so many platforms you can record on right here. You know, you can use StreamYard. Riverside.fm is what we use with our guests. So for the purpose of the boot camp, we give what are the most simple straightforward ways to do things. In our course, we go in a little more detail of some other options that you have, and we explore other things. We've never used Zencaster, but there's a plethora of recording platforms that you can use. Just for the purpose of today, most people know Zoom. It's pretty easy. Yeah. And the purpose of the boot camp is let's keep it as easy as possible.
The chord thing, yes. Very simple. So it's
maybe hold on one second. Chris, would you spotlight David so that everybody can see what he's doing? Give Chris a sec there. Oh, that's me. Hi. Maybe I'll put myself on mute. Here.
There we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see me a little better. So this is just a regular USB cord like what you sorry, lost my thought. So the Samson Q2U is a USB microphone. The cord plugs into the back of it. It's the same as what you'd get from like the Yeti, or there's an Audio-Technica that's really popular, or the Shure MV7. Any of those USB microphones are all going to have this same style of connection. So it'll either be this or USB-C, but typically it's going to be this. And this is just an adapter that you can get. We got this from Amazon. It's just a simple USB-A to I forget what this is called because I don't use Apple products, but it's just the Apple adapter. So it's just made so that you can plug the USB connector into it, and that's it. So now this plugs into the phone. Very, very simple. Yeah, definitely. And we also have a link that we're going to provide that shows like an equipment list, like a basic equipment list to get people started. But it's just the Samson Q2U, but we'll definitely write it in there.
We sent the materials list in both emails, day 1 and day 2 email, and we'll go ahead and put it in the chat again today, and it'll go in the email again tonight. We'll just keep sending that materials list out. These are our suggested easy start materials. I'll put it in, Chris, right now to our private chat, and maybe you can add it into the comments.
So I'm going to keep going with the editing now. So basically, Chris, if you want, you can go ahead and pull Audacity back up. Sorry, we're making you jump through circles today. So this is what the Audacity screen looks like. It's super basic. The thing that I like about it, as you can see right now, I don't have any tracks or anything made. The only thing that you have to make sure is that your input, which is this portion right here, that is selected. You see all these options that are there. So most computers have several different types of inputs that you can select. Mine happens to be right now, this in is the Mo2 M series because that's my interface. And the interface is the thing that my microphone is plugged into, and then the interface plugs into my computer. And that's basically the same thing when you buy a USB microphone. A USB microphone has an interface built into it. All right, so microphone into the interface, into the cord that plugs into the computer. So there's really no difference between using a microphone with an interface or a USB microphone because they're both basically doing the same thing. The only difference is the options you have as far as the microphone goes and all that kind of stuff when you start using an interface. But to keep things simple, the USB microphone is a fantastic and easy way to go. So anyway, mine is the Mo2 M series. I always select mono rather than stereo. And the reason for that is I only have one input, right? Just my microphone. And for dialogue, we don't need to have, stereo gives you placement. So you have left and right channels so that if you have a big stage of people, you can tell where they are on the stage and that kind of stuff. And for dialogue, talking into one microphone, there's no reason to have more than one side. So always keep it mono. It also, if you record it, you can record in stereo, but that basically just takes your file size and doubles it. And when you're doing a lot of recording, the least amount of file size you have, the better, because that means you're going to be able to store more stuff on your computer. So really that's all that you're going to gain by recording in stereo is doubling your file size. So just record in mono. Output always defaults to whatever your normal computer output is. So mine is coming out of my interface, so that's why that defaults to that. Those are really the only things that you'll need to worry about. Right here, I'm going to go ahead and show one thing. So one nice feature this has is you can see right here where it says click to start monitoring. So if I click on that, I can double check and see where my levels are. Most people try and hit, you can see I'm actually pretty high. I'm hitting up about -6. And if I start talking loudly or if I make a clap sound, right, you can see that little blue bar over here jumps up to the top of the, like to 0. And anytime I hit 0, that's doing what's called clipping. So this, I would actually want to lower my volume a little bit. So by grabbing this one, you see the mic symbol there? So by grabbing this little slider, I can lower my volume and get my average to somewhere between 18 and negative 18 to -12. And what that does is that gives me a little bit of headroom on the top to keep me from hitting that ceiling, basically. And it's kind of like if you think of your ceiling and you're on a ladder and you climb up the ladder, and you can keep climbing up the ladder until you hit the top, and then you start getting crunched up into the ceiling. And your sound does the same thing. And when it hits that ceiling, it starts distorting and making all sorts of awful noises. And it's stuff that you can't get back. So it basically takes your audio, let's say your peak is normally like this, and you hit the ceiling, it's going to flatten it out. And so you'll start to see all these flat portions in your audio. And basically that top portion of the peak disappears and you can't bring it back. So you want to make sure that when you're talking, you're staying somewhere right around -12 just to give yourself a little bit of headroom. So now that I have that said, all I have to do, I don't have to bother starting a track or doing anything. Super, super simple. So all I do is hit record. And now you can see that my dialogue is recording. I didn't have to do anything other than press that little red button to start things, right? So now I'm going to typically when I start, I'll leave myself maybe 10 or 15 seconds of dead space. And that's just to give myself, not going to get into it here, but basically it's to give myself some room noise so that I can use that for editing later on. But right now, so now I've recorded a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. And then I'm going to double click. And I like using command keys. So I'll press Control E, and that zooms out to my whole track. Okay, so now I can see everything that I've recorded. And let's say that's my episode. The only thing, we like to keep things, what's the word, Tiffany? I like to keep things
Simple,
organic,
easy,
I guess you could say.
Organic. Oh, organic. Yeah. Yes. Very organic.
So don't be too concerned. You hear a lot of people talking about, oh, you need to remove all the ums and ahs and breath sounds and that kind of stuff. I've been a dialogue editor for a little over 20 years, done professional work, and we never remove breaths unless it's something that is like blatantly obvious that the actor took like a huge breath to prepare for a line. That kind of stuff we'll get rid of. But if it's just a normal breath within their normal speaking, we leave them in because we're all, as humans, we're used to hearing those breaths. And when you start taking those things out, like if you're having a conversation with somebody, you don't notice that you heard a breath, but you're hearing them. And so when you start getting rid of them, things start sounding unnatural. The pauses that people make when they're speaking, the little me saying is common, right? So it's not, you can, if somebody does it excessively, then it's okay to take some of that stuff out, but you have to pay attention to the timing of things a lot also. So for me, I like, if somebody sends me for our podcast, let's say this is the recording that's on the screen here is our podcast. Unless there's a really, really bad thing in there that somebody says, you know, oh, can I start over? I want to restate that or something like that. I don't bother deleting anything from the middle because it takes away the natural sound of it. So all I worry about, I'm going to zoom in over here on this portion. So this is where I started talking. So if I go back to, sorry about that, I'm going to jump around a little bit. So this is where I started talking. So all I'm going to do is highlight this portion. And all I did was click and drag. So very simple. Click and drag, and then press delete on my keyboard. So now I've gotten rid of the dead space that's at the beginning of the track, right? So now when I press play, it's going to start my speaking right away. So I do that at the beginning. I'm going to do the same thing at the end. So that was my little P sound. So I'm going to start from somewhere in there and highlight all the way to the end. And I can go ahead and drag past. Doesn't make a difference. I'm going to hit delete again. And now my track, let me zoom in, or out rather. So now you can see my audio starts right at the beginning and starts right at the end. And most of the time, that's all you want to have to do as far as your editing goes. There's other things you can do as far as processing your sound and doing all that stuff. And we offer courses if you feel like getting more into that end of it. But for the most part, keep it simple. Don't be too stressed about it. Select your microphone input, hit record, trim your beginning, trim your end, and that's it. You're done, right? So once I'm done, let's say there is something though in the middle. I'll go ahead and show you that real quick for those that don't know. If there's something in there that I want to get rid of, or if I want to shorten some space, let's say I paused and took too long. Dead space in a podcast is a killer, so you don't want to leave it too long with that. So let's say I want to delete that portion, I can just hit delete and that portion is gone. So Audacity, again, super simple. Love using it. So here, once I've got this set, I can go back and play it through and make sure that it sounds like I want. Once I have that set, all I have to do here is go to File, and rather than Save, because if I save a project, let's say I'm working on something, I can hit Save a Project, and that allows me to come back into Audacity and continue working on it. So if I got to go make dinner, if I got to run to work, whatever it is that I have to do, I don't need to worry about losing any of the progress that I've made on my episode. But once I'm done editing my episode and I'm happy with how it sounds, I'm going to go to Export, and I'm going to export as an MP3. This is basically the format that any of your hosts are going to want you to upload in. So I'm going to export as an MP3. I'm going to call this a test file. We'll go into my test folder here. Save file type as MP3 was already selected. And then down here, I have to make sure when you first start it, it's probably going to be set on preset. The good thing about Audacity is it remembers where you like things. So if you're exporting at 96 kilobits MP3 files, it's going to remember that, and that's what it's going to be set at next time you come into it. So it's really good about that stuff, which is another thing that I like. So I have to make sure this is on constant. So the last one. And then here you've got a bunch of different stuff that you can select as far as the bit rate. I'm going to select 96. And the reason I select 96 is 99% of the hosts that are out there are only going to allow you to upload at a 96 kilobit per second MP3 file. And if you upload at a larger bit rate, they take that file and they kind of downsample it to whatever it is that they allow. And so by exporting at a 96 kilobit per second, you're doing the downsampling for them. And so that means they're not going to be processing your audio a second time or third time or however many times, whatever it is to get to the final end product. So you're kind of maintaining control over your output. So I'm going to export at a 96 MP3 file. I'm going to hit save. And what this does, these are metadata tags. I'm going to pull this over a little bit so you can see a little better. So this is basically all the ID3 tags. Buzzsprout, the good thing, we like Buzzsprout as a host. Buzzsprout and Captivate are the two that we use. The good thing about them is they sort of provide their own ID3 tags based off of the information that you input. So your name, your podcast name, the description of the podcast, all the information that you put in, it sort of grabs keywords and uses those as ID3 tags. And ID3 tags are what the internet uses when people are searching for something. So if somebody's searching for recovering after a loss, and that's one of your keywords, your podcast is more likely to pop up. If somebody's searching for how to feed your dog properly, whatever your topic is, this is the area where you're going to fill that stuff out. So if somebody's searching for you, so you want to make sure you put your name in, right? And what that does is that becomes a permanent part of that file. It's like putting a stamp on it. And even if you're using something like Buzzsprout or Captivate that puts these tags on it on its own, by importing that information here, it's being saved with the file. So if somebody was to grab your file, they like your episode and they put it on their website, all of those tags go with your file. So it'll be a permanent part of that file. It's like a putting a tattoo on it forever. So you want to fill out all of these things, and you can add and remove and add, different tags, whatever tags that you feel are necessary for your podcast, so that when people are searching Google or whatever it is that they're using, it helps to raise your podcast up to the top. So once I filled out all that information, I hit OK, and that's it. And so now if I go to, I can't open it here because I'm only sharing Audacity. Sorry. But if I went to file folder, opened up my file folder and played it back, it would play back this same audio as an MP3 file. And that's about it. So you would then take that file, and that's the file that you're going to use to drag into your host. Very, very simple. Audacity has a lot of tools that you can use as far as cleanup and stuff like that. And really, this is the kind of stuff that you just sort of start playing around with. You can, we offer a course that you can take to, dig deeper if you really want to. But for the most part, that's about it. If you keep it simple, USB microphone plugged into your computer or phone or whatever you're going to do, you hit record. Very, very simple. And that's about it when it comes to editing. So hopefully that, go ahead, Tiff, you were about to.
No, I was just going to say, I love how you take something that can feel very scary and overwhelming and you make it pretty simple. And for everybody in the audience, if you want to spend more time with David on just editing, if this is your area where you're like, I really need to work on this, perhaps you already have your podcast and you want to dig deeper and you have bigger questions, like Judith just posted a really good question. Those kinds of questions that are kind of deeper, more specific questions that we're not going to necessarily get into today. David does have a course. It's an editing with Audacity masterclass. So you can always approach us and ask us about that one. We do go into Audacity in a little bit more depth within our 6-week course as well. But then that masterclass goes nice and deep. So that's just something, if you're interested in that, you can always let us know. And David, it comes with the workbook and it comes with everything laid out and the steps you need to take in Audacity and the different tools within Audacity. So if you are in a place to dig deeper, that would be good for you. If you are just starting out, you don't need to dig deeper right now. That's something you can do 10 episodes in, right? Like right now, just get it going and feel good just trimming the ends, the beginning and the end. Feel good with exporting it. If you're in a good space, you have a good recording space, you've got a good mic like the Samson Q2U, then this editing should be literally trimming the beginning and the end off. Yeah. So that's great. Oh, we had commenting was turned off for a while.
Oh,
yay, Facebook. You're the best.
And I just saw Wendy's comment about my sound. So hopefully everybody could hear me.
I could hear you fine. So I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you're doing good. All right. I think, Chris, we're ready to
carry on with the slideshow.
Carry on with the slideshow. Yes, Marianne, we believe in keeping it simple and just get started. And then you can add on to your skill set as you go, right? It's starting simple and then building on your skills is what we think is the best way to go. Because if you get too caught up in all of the tech pieces and I have to learn it all before I start, you're not going to learn it all, right? Like you can take years. David has been doing this for 2 decades and he is still learning every single day. So yes, keep it simple and then learn as you go. And
I like using the example of Tim Ferriss. I'm going to go to him again. He's got just this last October, he broke 700 million downloads and he is still recording on a mic just like the Samson Q2U. So don't feel like you need to. A lot of people get stressed out and it's a good starter microphone. It's just a good microphone. Mm-hmm. There's really, as long as you get off of your laptops, a lot of people open their laptop up and they hit record, or they use their cell phone and they talk into their cell phone. Just this one little purchase will take your audio to the next level. and it'll be good enough for, if you think about where people are listening to, right? Where do you listen to your podcast? Most people listen on their cell phone while they're driving, or in their, on their speakers of their car. There's the traffic noise. There are all sorts of stuff going on. You put it on your cell phone while you're cooking dinner, while you're taking a shower, whatever it is that you're doing, brushing your teeth in the morning. There's always other noise going on, and it's sort of like background. You do it during your other daily tasks, right? It's rare that somebody just sits and puts headphones on and listens to a podcast. And so if you keep that in mind, it takes the stress off of needing to make your audio sound perfect, because people aren't listening in perfect environments. So just don't stress about it. Keep it simple.
Yes. Marianne, good enough is good enough for
Absolutely.
sure.
Just get your voice heard.
Get going, get started.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, you're not going to have a huge audience. So
Right. Use that time to experiment.
use that time to learn and experiment.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I just went backwards. Sorry, friends. Go forward. All right. So we are moving to the time when we're going to head into our Q&A. Before we do that, we just wanted to let you know that we do have more support. So for those of you that are launching your podcast, we do have a 6-week course opening up in January. We're going to open the doors to you guys tomorrow. The rest of the world, it opens up on January 8th, but you guys get a little special pre-sign up bonus, and we'll open the doors and tell you about that tomorrow. We're very excited about this course. We have a fun video to show you tomorrow of the people that have gone through the course and how they feel about it. For us, I think the most powerful part of the course is the community that we create around it, and just the fact that you are fully supported by David and I. It's super interactive. It's always live, always interactive. We're very involved. We're very approachable. And then the people in the course also pick up that vibe, and they're also very helpful. And so you just end up with this amazing community of support and really lifelong friends. We know there are a number of you also that have a podcast already. And so the launching your course may not be the right place for you, but a membership may be. You may still need some help, support, advice, guidance. We know we do. And so we started a membership because we wanted to keep ourselves surrounded by other podcasters. In our everyday life, we don't hang out with other podcasters. So we don't really get to talk about podcasting in our everyday life. And so having our membership is really nice for us. It keeps us, what's the word? It keeps us very committed to what we are doing. We launched our new podcast, Mastering the Podcaster Mindset, in November, on November 10th. And I got sick with COVID that very night that we launched. And David got sick with COVID about 3 days later. And it was our community, our membership community, and our course that kept us motivated to keep producing even when we were so very, very sick. And if you go and listen to some of those early episodes, you'll hear our nasally voices. And thankfully, David was able to edit out most of the coughing and all of that.
That was one time I took time to edit the natural stuff out.
Yeah, because it was terrible. Yeah. But the point is, it was our community that supported us and kept us going. And so we do that for each other. So if you're interested, if you already have a podcast and you're interested in continuing support, keep learning, we do have a membership, and we'll talk more about the details of that membership tomorrow. We just wanted to let you know that that is something that we have. All right. I'm trying to change the slides on the wrong screen. And just, we've talked about our podcast before. Here's our podcast. We want to let you know who we are so that, you can go in and listen and say, okay, are these people I want to learn from? So this is my podcast, Love and Life After Divorce, and David is the editor and producer on that one. And then this is ours that we co-host together, Mastering the Podcaster Mindset. So you can always go and listen and say, are these people I want to learn from? All right, we have a few minutes here. This is question and answer, and I think Facebook is letting us answer. Maybe it's looking like the comments are going on and off and on and off. So if you are
Yep.
able to post a question in, please, this is our time for question and answer. We just saw Penny posted something. We're so glad. This is good information, Penny. We're so glad it's resonating. Does anybody else have a question for us about editing or imposter syndrome or your content or anything from yesterday?
And it's off again.
All right, let's see. Here we go. It says, is everything David showed in Audacity in the free version, or do we need to purchase another version? That's a great question.
Audacity only has a free version. Yeah. So there's no need to. That's another thing that I like about it. And it's also what's called open source software, which means that people can request things and the developers are constantly updating. It seems like every time I open it, it's telling me, hey, there's a new update for Audacity. Do you want to download it? And I always say yes, because it is generally a good thing. They add features almost daily to it, and it's constantly an evolution. So it's great. There's even been stuff that I've been like, oh my gosh, I wish it did this. I was on a Reddit course group for a while. And we were, chatting about stuff when I was first learning it. And about a week later, what the conversation was showed up in the software. So developers are super interactive, and it's just a good piece of kit. It works really well.
It's one of the few things that are free in podcasting that we recommend.
Yeah.
Most free things in podcasting, we're like, don't waste your time on that. Pay for, especially if the podcast is part of your business, pay for
Yeah.
your
You have
host.
to be willing to put some money into it.
Yeah.
If you're going to make it part of a professional operation.
Yeah.
But the good thing is Audacity is one free part. Save
We
you a little
love
money.
that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Are there any other questions?
Best length for a new podcast. There's podcasts that are 2 minutes long, and there's podcasts that are 3 hours long. It depends on your audience. I like to think about the average commute time in the U.S. Anyway is about 35 minutes. And so if it's something that people listen to on their way to work, that can be part of their routine on every Monday morning. Oh, so-and-so's podcast is going to be up. I have my morning listen. If you do a lot of short ones, we were, joking around, you can use them as your toothbrush timer, right? You start the podcast and start brushing your teeth. And when the podcast is over, okay, I'm done brushing my teeth. I can finish up. So really, it's just whatever works for your audience and what your content is, what you're trying to say. So you can, whatever you feel will work.
That's some of the research we share within the course. We like to stay up on the latest research. And research shows that it's a clear split. Like there is no real people. It has to be one way or the other. And I think that's the beauty of podcasting is it kind of started as a rebel platform. It was a platform when radio was not inclusive, right? And radio would only let certain voices on and certain types of stories. And podcasting really came out as a rebellion to that and saying, well, no, you don't get to tell me what I can and cannot say. And so because of that, podcast listeners don't require a lot of rules, right? The big rules in podcasting are your sound needs to be listenable, right? It doesn't even have to be amazing.
Not amazing.
We just need to be able to listen to it without getting annoyed. So we need to be able to listen to it and we need to be able to access it. So have your podcast out on all the platforms. And those are like the big rules, right? And other than that, know your audience, know what they want to hear. So I think that's a really fun, exciting thing about podcasting is there's not really set defined rules on what your podcast has to look like and how long it can be and what topics you need to cover and all of that. There's such a variety out there. Great question about Buzzsprout and Anchor. We are covering that tomorrow. We definitely have a favorite. If you look at our materials list, you'll see the favorite. We do like Buzzsprout a lot for a lot of reasons. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Definitely. All right. So we are coming up. We're at our hour point. If there's not any more questions at this time, I think we are going to say thank you so much for being here today. We have had an absolute pleasure. This has been so fun. And we'll be in tomorrow to finish up. And it's just so exciting. And if you come up with more questions, put them in the thread and we'll be checking in today. Tag me or David so that your comment doesn't get lost.
Yeah.
And we'll come in and we'll check and we'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. Oh, Chris, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Your turn.
Yes, I am. There we go. Yeah.
Would it be technology if it all worked smoothly?
No.
I mean,
no, it wouldn't. And Facebook really is being a pain in the butt. So after
it's never happened like this before. I am just amazed.
Every individual comment, it turns off so that I'm going back in and turning it back on. So at least it's working a little bit quicker for me today, because yesterday I couldn't even turn it back on.
Right.
But that was an awesome day. And there's loads of questions about, now Buzzsprout versus Podbean. And I used Libsyn. So there's so much out there, but you guys are going to touch upon all that tomorrow. Which is really exciting.
Libsyn's the OG. They're the beginning.
Been around a long time.
Yeah.
I liked it. I use Zencaster and Libsyn. So I did my recording on Zencaster, and what I liked about Zencaster versus Zoom is that on Zencaster you can get your guest to record on their end, so you don't get any packet loss with it all being recorded on your side. Because I find that on a Zoom, the other side doesn't sound as nice. And then they brought, of course, a video segment in, so that it was really competing against Zoom, which was nice.
Nice
if you wanted to take it onto video, because that helps with SEO.
Yes.
It sure does.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. I can't wait for day 3. Same time, you guys. The materials list still will not. I think it's when I try to post the materials list that that's when Facebook starts cutting off our commenting. So for some reason they see it as spam. I think maybe it's a Bitly link that's causing the issue. But
I've tried it without Bitly and it didn't like it without Bitly. So I created a Bitly thinking it would like that better. And
so maybe
it didn't like
the
Bitly.
The G drive it's not liking.
I think it might have something to do with Google Drive.
I've tried posting links, even like direct messages to people with Google Drive links. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And more often than not, it doesn't, though.
It seems like they're cracking down even more. So hey,
we'll email you. So if you're not currently on the email list, DM me. Now, yesterday people had to be creative with their emails because Facebook was even not letting them put their emails in the DMs.
Oh my gosh.
So they were having to write the word .out and write the word @ out. So whatever's going on with Facebook, I don't know. But DM me if you want your email. I can read I can decipher the code. So if you need to put the word .in and you need to put the word @ in, that's fine. We'll send you the email. Typically, we email kind of in the evening time. So we have time for people to watch the replay and then put in any questions. And then if they had, yesterday, we actually changed a few things in the workbook for day 3 based on your questions on day 1. So we always try to keep this super interactive. So we wait a little bit to send the email so we can get some of your feedback. We think feedback's really important. Your questions are an important part of the feedback. And then sometimes we'll adjust a few things and then we'll send the email out in the evening. So you have the workbook for the morning.
Wow. You guys are as good as the open source team behind Audacity. Making
we
things happen on the fly.
We love that kind of stuff. So, David, there was a good question about CRISP, and I think you should address it just because we love CRISP and we were talking to somebody about it.
CRISP is a very simple tool. I actually really like CRISP. I have software that analyzes. I can see rather than seeing a waveform, I see like a visual representation of the sound. And so when I first heard about Crisp, I got Crisp and installed it. And what Crisp is basically something that eliminates hiss and background noises and things that kind of interfere with your dialogue. And so when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, this is too good to be true. No way. So I downloaded Crisp. It's a free little app that you can put on any computer. And remember in Audacity where I selected my microphone input, Crisp, you go into your Crisp app and you select your input device there. So I would select my microphone input in Crisp. And then when Crisp is running, when I select my microphone input in Audacity, I'm going to select Crisp, not my microphone. And Crisp is really good at getting rid of like AC noise, constant hums that are in the background and things like that. The typical hiss that comes from electronics. If you hit record on Audacity and you turn your gain up, you're going to notice a lot of just hiss noise in the background. Shh, if you stop and listen really closely. And Crisp is really good at getting rid of that stuff. So I actually use it myself when we do Zoom presentations and stuff, just because it helps to clean up the audio without me having to, because I'm not doing any editing. So I'm not going to be taking any of that out during my editing process. So it just makes it a little more pleasant to the ear. But yeah, I think it's fantastic. Really good.
We were talking about it with a podcaster friend who literally unplugged her fridge every time she recorded a podcast episode because her fridge was so loud.
Too noisy.
So we're like, just use Crisp, then you can keep your food fresh longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And like somebody said, even phone rings. Yeah. All that stuff. Crisp is really good at. It just listens to the ambient noise and kind of goes, nope, I'm not allowing you. I'm not allowing you. I'm not allowing you. And when I looked at the recording, so I did a recording with Crisp enabled and with it off, just to see a visual representation of both in that software I was talking about. And it didn't change there was a very subtle change to the sound as far as my voice goes. It got a little bit, not quite as bright, and I could see that in that visual representation of the audio. But when I listened to it, if I hadn't listened back to back, I wouldn't have noticed. So it's fantastic.
Yes. And always record in Audacity if you can. Even if you're on Zoom or on Riverside or on Zencaster or whatever it is that you're recording into, always have a local recording that you're doing. So I personally have an interface I record into. David records into Audacity. Anytime we're doing anything, so you have a backup recording, and we would use Zoom as the backup, or Riverside as the backup, or Zencaster as the backup, because that's the one online versus your local recording, which is going to be cleaner. So that's kind of next level stuff. That's the stuff that we talk about, like with our membership group and stuff like that. So if you want more of that kind of information, that's something like we just can't do that in an hour in a boot camp. But that's next level. Judith, you're asking amazing questions. So it's telling me you have a good knowledge base. I don't know if you have a podcast yet, Judith. If you don't, you've got a really good knowledge base and you need to get going because you're asking really powerful questions. Yeah. If you do have a podcast, then in the membership, we talk about all of this next level stuff. For the reason for today, we want to keep things as simple as possible because we don't want to stress people out, because sometimes the more you know, the harder it is to get going, because it becomes very overwhelming. So for the boot camp, here's your very simple steps to get going, then add on to your knowledge.
Yeah, you guys have shared just the tip of the carrot, the tip of the iceberg. So, if you guys want to learn more and really get into this, you definitely want to consider joining their course. So,
Judith, launching in January. Yes. Yay. All right. Cool.
Good. Well, it sounds like Judith is going to be nailing it in January.
She is. She's got a lot of information. It's great and fantastic questions. We love your questions, Judith. Keep them coming, because it helps us to know where you're at, what you're wondering about. And like we said, some of the questions from yesterday kind of helped us to change a little bit what we're doing today and tomorrow. Yeah. So we love it. Keep asking those questions.
I just want to ask one more question that I noticed somebody asked yesterday. How many episodes do you recommend having in the can basically before you start? Just one?
One. Why? I
Wow.
mean, really, why do you need more? Because
Mhm.
like I can sit down anytime, and as long as I have my trailer, I know where my podcast is going, right?
Yeah.
And so there's no reason that I can't upload my trailer and my artwork and start getting those listed on all the directories, so that I can then start getting into my routine of getting into recording. Because you can have 10 in the bank and then go, okay, well, I'm set for 10. Well, what happens if you haven't started recording before that 10th one gets uploaded?
Mhm.
So having some in the bank is nice because it gives you time to get things recording. Like us, we try and stay at least a week ahead, which we never do, but that's our goal.
Yeah.
It seems like even last night we're up at midnight trying to upload stuff because the day just kind of overwhelmed us. So you can always have a bunch in the bank, but eventually it's going to catch up to you, and you're going to have to get into some kind of routine. And
That's
so
true.
if you want to get into that routine, do it from the beginning. And
Mhm.
so if you want to stay 3 episodes ahead, then record 3 episodes and make sure as soon as you've uploaded one, you're recording another one, because
Exactly.
otherwise, why have them in the bank, right? So,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and start let's say that I have 10 episodes in the bank and I start my podcast and I launch it and I start listening, cuz once you launch it and then you listen back and I go, "Oh, hmm, not really happy
Mm-hmm.
with how that sounds," or
True.
I think next time I really need to dig deeper, or on my next interview, I want to ask these types of questions. Like, we improve with everyone.
True.
So if you are waiting to launch to have like 10 in the can, you might end up needing to redo them anyway because you're not
Mm-hmm.
super happy with how it sounds, in especially in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
When you get into a level like right now, for me, for my love and life after divorce, I'm probably 6 weeks of episodes in the can because I'm at a pace where I'm getting interviews. Sometimes I'll do 2 to 3 interviews a day. I hit them hard on the weekends. Um, and I'm in a really good place with my interview. I know the kinds of things I like asking. So I'm probably at minimum of 6 weeks of episodes already recorded. But in the beginning, I wasn't, and that was good because I was improving my interview skills and I was honing in on exactly the message I wanted to give.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm rebranding and I'm gonna be launching, a new version of my podcast in January, and I'm purposely not recording too many episodes because I want when you're rebranding, you wanna see, "Okay, how is this gonna resonate with my audience? Am I
Right.
Mm-hmm.
doing this right? Is this working?" And so I'm kind of pulling back a little bit on my interviews because I want it to still really resonate with my audience. I wanna make sure I'm going in a direction that feels good to them. So, how many you should have in the can kinda depends on where you're at, and, just making sure you give yourself the space to improve
Mm-hmm.
and not get yourself stuck. And like David said, get yourself into a recording pattern and treat this like a business. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
one of our episodes that's coming out on Mastering the Podcaster Mindset. One of our newer podcasters said it was a big mindset shift she had to make, was treating her podcast like a business, scheduling the time in her um, in her day, that this is my podcasting time, this is my editing time, this is my making my social media pieces time, this is part of my business, and treating it like that. And so that's just, it's nice to have a few in the bank, but not
Mm-hmm.
too many.
Really
We've
good
even
points, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we even had somebody in our membership group just last week. She's gone through our course and she's still kind of finalizing. She was finalizing what she wanted to do. She started getting episodes recorded. She uploaded, I think, 2 episodes and has recorded 4, and decided I'm going to pivot.
Mhm.
So she's totally rebranding, changing everything, and going in a different direction because of what she kind of had a mental breakthrough and realized what she really wanted to do. And it was because of her just starting and doing it and realizing that that wasn't where she wanted to be. This is where she wanted to be.
Mhm.
But because she hadn't spent so much time, like if she had spent all the time required to do 10, 12 episodes before having that mental breakthrough, all that time would have been wasted, and she would have been felt mentally that she needed to stick with what she had already started on, right? Because she's like, even with the 4 episodes, she had a hard time going, well, geez, can I really pivot now? Yeah, absolutely you can. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But had she been even more vested in those 12 episodes, her podcast would have been going in a direction that she really didn't want it. So yeah, definitely don't feel like you need to have a bunch in the bank.
Really
Let it
good
grow.
points.
Yeah.
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 And Judith, if you need help with sound, just reach out to us. We can help with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
And this feeling of scared and overwhelmed and all of that, that's totally natural. It's gonna feel that way, and that's okay. It's kind of a good sign that you're in the right direction, because that means you're in your growth phase when you feel a little bit scared, a little bit overwhelmed. And it's also a really good sign that you need help and support. Like, nobody needs to do this alone. Podcasting can be a very isolating experience. And so creating a community around you, supporting you, that understands your podcasting challenges is really important, because it probably won't be your best friend. It probably won't be your mom and dad. It probably won't be your sister. Those people that you hang out with and have a glass of wine with on Friday nights, they're not going to understand the podcasting challenges, because that's not their world. And so creating a community around yourself that understands this language you're speaking and these challenges you're facing is just really, really important. Otherwise, that feeling of isolation, that's where podcast fade starts coming in. Of nobody understands me, and I don't know how to do this, and I'm not sure where to get the answers, and I'm just feeling frustrated and I'm overwhelmed. And when you start getting those feelings, that's when you really, really know, I need to reach out to somebody and get some support, whether it's one-on-one coaching, whether it's being in a membership community of some kind, whatever it is. Nobody can do this alone, really. You need help.
And the nice thing about the podcast community is so open and warm and
is.
supportive. Don't hesitate to get involved, because everybody loves to share and help. That's what I loved about it. It's a beautiful community.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need podcasters to run the world, because it would be peaceful.
Right? I know.
There are some podcasters that are some of those podcasting forums I'm on, like, okay, step down. You are not God. It is okay. This is a rebel platform. If you think you need to like wag your finger at people, then step back a little. But yeah,
That's true.
mostly there's some good people. So,
and I think, Judith, too, is when you're getting nervous, if anything makes your heart start to pound, that's just your body's way of telling you it's go time. Like, you're in the right place, you're doing the right thing, and that's your excitement.
Yep.
So follow it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, another brilliant day. Tiffany and David, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Chris.
we're back here for day 3 tomorrow, same time.
Yay.
So 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And look forward to seeing everybody. Make sure that you sign up for the email so you can get all the tools, because obviously we can't share the materials link. So sign up, and that is posted in this particular post. At the top, there's a place where you can register. So just look for that. Okay.
Register or send me a DM. Just DM me.
Perfect.
And like I said, you may have to use that special code, use the word DOT and the word AT, because Facebook is somehow getting grumpy when people link their emails. So, but we'll make sure you get put on the email list if you do that.
Awesome.
Thanks
Okay.
again, Chris.
We'll
Thank
see
you,
you guys
everyone.
all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.